Wait, what up?
Yeah.
What? Oh gosh.
Finally.
Goodness me. I'm sorry. I'd forgotten to set my alarm. I went to sleep. Oh goodness, I had this strange dream that Long Elf was controlling everything and I was in heaven and such, and all this strange stuff. What day is it today?
March 4th,
Oh, in the year?
2022.
Oh my dear. It's the 100th anniversary of Nosferatu.
What?
You know, a Symphony of Horror, the
yeah.
influential silent film based on Dracula.
Oh, wow.
I actually have to review it today.
Well, you better get up then.
All right then, I will. Let's head to a stop here, and we will. Yeah, I think we're coming up to a stop here soon. You know, in addition to the 1922 silent film, I'm also reviewing. Werner Herzog did a version of it back in '79.
Oh.
You know, so I'm gonna see about that too. You know, be it like a double feature. I don't know. We'll see. It'd be good. So, we stopping here then?
Yes.
Okay. So we're at the house. Yeah, we're at the house, and I guess. Well, I have to review those films. Well, actually, I need to watch them first. But thank you, Mum, for waking me up.
No problem.
It's good to be back.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. We'll see you soon. We'll see you later. Goodbye. Well, it's the 4th of March, the centenary of this film here, Nosferatu, Symphony of Horror. And it appears as though that Miles Nightostrata is still not woken up. Oh my dear. Well, it appears as though that I might have to be the one to review this film here. Well, I suppose I need to watch the thing, so I guess we'll just go ahead and put the disc in the player. Yes. Oh, I had no idea. Goodness me. How long? Nearly a month. Oh my goodness me. You've been back since the 16th. Oh, I see. Okay, yes, Nosferatu. I know you have to review it today, along with this remake here from the 70s by Werner Herzog. I was actually just about to put it in the player for you. What? You no longer want me hosting the show or running the channel? Well then, are you sure that you're of the right mindset to be operating things? Are you certain? Do you promise that you're not going to slip back into mania over this Mina lady, whatever her name was? Okay, very well. Let me just put this disc in the player for you if I don't break it. There it is. Okay, I'll go now and let you take over, Miles. Well, thank you, Long Elf. It's been an eventful almost month over up there in not heaven, but my childhood. So now I need to watch this film here, Nosferatu, and this one here. I'll watch this one first and then give my review of it here. because after all, it turns 100 today, as I've said, and, well, since no one else is going to do a review of it, I figured I may as well be the first one. The $10 Slimer people on their channel, Half Dog Productions, will most likely put a review up of this. I have no idea. But nevertheless, I suppose all that's left to do now is to sit back and watch this horror classic that is now 100 years old today. Alright then, we'll see you in just a little bit to give my thoughts on the matter. Hello, boys and girls. It is your friend Miles. I am back from heaven, or perhaps we'll call it childhood, and I'm here to review a pair of films today, or tonight rather. And in order that I might do that, I had, by I suppose the suggestion of Ahab, I had set up this horror movie lighting that he seemed to like very much. It's actually just, you can see there, it's just a night light that's in the shape of a T-Rex. That's what it is. And so today is March the 4th, 2022. And as you know, there is one film in particular that had come out on that date, precisely 100 years ago. Yes, 100 years ago today. There was released to the public this most influential of silent films, this most influential of horror films, this most influential of, well, films. And well, as it is night time right now, I figured the best way to, it's actually midnight right now, because obviously it is indeed best that you discuss these things during the night. That's when you can let out all the insanity. And that's usually when these types of creatures are about. That's the only time they can be about. Well, because they sleep as the dead, and in the morning. But anyhow, the film I am going to talk about today is this one here. F.W. Murnau's 1922 classic Nosferatu Okay, that's enough of that. That's enough of that. That's enough of that nonsense here. Okay, there we are. There we are. All right, that's enough of that nonsense. It's actually. Hello, everyone. This is your friend Miles here speaking, and it's actually March the 3rd, Thursday, and it's about it's 6:05 in the evening. I've just taken my sleeping pills, melatonin there, and I have about an hour before I get to bed. Just letting you know, yes, I am back from heaven, and had a lovely time there. It's actually not heaven, it's called that, but it isn't it. It's actually my own childhood, and I had a lovely time there. I am perfectly well, and I will be back to doing things on the channel here. But as I had said, so today is a very special day. Well, today when I post this will be a very special day, because it just so happens to be the centenary, or the 100th anniversary of a particular film which I had planned to see when it was 90 and I was 12, but never did. And I finally saw it actually just the other day, and that film is Nosferatu, a Symphony of Horror. This film here is obviously an influential silent film directed by F.W. Murnau, the German filmmaker in such, and essentially this here is, I suppose, an unofficial adaptation of Bram Stoker's novel Dracula. Now, I've not read Dracula since I was about 13. So it's been a very long time since I've read. I didn't even read this copy. I actually read an abridgment. But nevertheless, I didn't reread it for the sake of this review, because, well, I just wanted to see this as a film, because really the reason why it's an unofficial adaptation is because, well, Bram Stoker's widow didn't necessarily want her husband's work to be adapted and such, and all that. Was a very litigious individual, and actually wanted copies of this film burned upon release. Can you believe that? We wouldn't have had this, if she had gone through with it, but fortunately she didn't. But anyhow, I will not be reviewing this film as an adaptation of the book Dracula. I have read it a long time ago in an abridgment, and I actually, in preparation for this review, I didn't actually reread this because it would take too much time, and I'm actually reading other things right now. I'm reading Arthur Conan Doyle's The Magic Door, which, Through the Magic Door, which is going very well. It's a great book. And I hope to read some, actually, Sir Walter Scott here soon, because he happens to be one of the writers that inspired Conan Doyle. But nevertheless, I actually saw a review of the book by the Tale-Telling Heart, a booktuber from Russia, whom I very much admire. I'll leave a link to her review down there. And so, basically, I'll just be reviewing this as a standalone film. But to my knowledge, from what I saw of that review of hers, this basically follows the basic story of Dracula. Of course, because it's an unofficial adaptation, the characters' names aren't changed. Instead of Jonathan Harker, it's Hutter for some reason. It's actually kind of a stupid name. But, instead of Renfield's actually Knock. Goodness me, these names. It's very strange indeed. And obviously the most famous person in here is the vampire himself, Count Dracula, who's actually Count Orlok. You can see there, very famous image of him ascending the staircase. But anyhow, basically what this film is about is this old count from Transylvania wants to buy property in Visborg, or Visburg, in, I believe, Germany. I believe it's Germany. Yeah. And essentially, this agent, what's his name, Hunter, goes over there to Transylvania to basically have the deed signed and such. And as he's staying at this Count's castle, essentially, plenty of weird things happen, and it turns out that he's a vampire and such. And obviously, the story plays out pretty similarly to how the events took place in the book, except, well, instead of this vampire turning other people into vampires, he's actually spreading the Black Death and just feasting on people, which is interesting. Very interesting indeed. Actually, I think it's creepier that way because, well, if you encounter this thing here, and basically know that this thing, instead of turning people into like unto itself, actually just eats people, you're dead. Not undead, but you're dead. But anyhow, and basically the whole of the film, it's somewhat similar to the actual book. Instead of obviously Van Helsing and everyone going to searching for Dracula and setting up a plan to go and murder him, it's actually the wife of Hunter, Ellen, who determines to slay Nosferatu, and does so quite successfully. I won't exactly say how, but nevertheless, it's done. And so, apologies if I I don't want to give away too much exactly about this film, because if you've not seen it, I recommend you do. It's a great film. Probably the best silent film I've ever seen. I said The Lost World from 1925 was the best one. The Lost World has nothing on this. I'm sorry to anyone who happens to like it, but this is just so much better. The score actually sounds pleasant and very, very scary at times, whereas I saw this one version of The Lost... I keep opening this, I'm sorry. I saw this one version of The Lost World on television. I think it was the 1 and 9 minute cut, and basically all of the soundtrack was just this blaring organ, like, and it was awful. It's very awful. But this here this is actually the ultimate DVD edition, the 2-disc version that has the English version of film and the German version of film. Of course, I saw the English version, but nevertheless, I just forgot what I was talking about. Hang on a second. Yes, I remember now. The score is actually very pleasant sounding and such, and quite a bit of the there's a lot of interesting elements to the film that I quite liked. For instance, many of the scenes are not just black and white, they're tinted different hues. For instance, all of the scenes that are meant to be indoors are tinted yellow, and I suppose dawn is basically pink, and the dead of night is blue, and such. I found that to be very interesting, very nice stylistic choice. And also, obviously, this is a genuinely very creepy film at times. I do not recommend you watch this at night. I watched it in the morning, actually in the afternoon, on Wednesday this week, and fortunately it didn't scare me too well, which is good. I usually have a very tough skin. I don't scare very easily. I'm gonna hopefully release a video here soon called Childhood Trauma, because I released Childhood Crushes a long time ago and had recorded Childhood Trauma but never uploaded it, so I'm going to upload it here soon, probably in April. But nevertheless, I have no idea what else more I could say. And also the way it's told, through acts and such, and how it's written very, it's basically structured very much like a novel. It's told in, I suppose, bits of letters and such, and even fragments of books are featured, and you have enough time to read them. You don't even have to pause the film to read them, which is very nice. These people were thinking about, it's the common reading public that are going to see this, or maybe some lay people who don't necessarily, who aren't necessarily literate. Anyhow, but no. Also, perhaps the one line, well, of course there are no lines spoken in this film, it's a silent film, but no, perhaps the one line, or not line, what's it called, intertitle that I remember in this film is perhaps this: I guess a death bird was gone as if obliterated by the rays of the something sun. It's a great line indeed. And if you've not seen this film, it's an essential for any silent film or horror aficionado, or just really anyone who's interested in cinema in such. It's probably the greatest vampire film ever made, and I've really enjoyed it, and will most likely watch it again here soon. I'm not entirely sure when, but I'm glad I actually sat down and watched the thing now that it's 100 years old. Okay, and as Long Elf had suggested, I was actually going to watch and review another film that was like into that one, and that is actually this one here. This is Nosferatu the Vampire. This is actually a 1979 basically remake of this film done by Werner Herzog. One of his first films, actually. Or no, it wasn't. I'm not entirely sure. And this one here is interesting because it's actually far more accurate to the book. For instance, everyone is named correctly, and also quite a bit of the lines of dialogue, for instance, the Children of the Night soliloquy, and also certain bits about, Dracula taking on different forms, such as bats or wolves or something of that nature, are brought up. And basically it's in a sense more accurate to the book. And it's shot very well and such. There's a lot of interesting directorial choices here. For instance, it's more obvious that Nosferatu is the vampire here. Instead, they kind of concealed it just a bit in this film, whereas it's right clear there. There's There he is there. I think that's Klaus Kinski who plays Nosferatu. Not entirely sure. This is okay. So before I get onto that, this DVD here, the Ultimate Edition of the original Nosferatu, has all these features which I've not seen yet. I will here soon. It has a documentary that's 52 minutes, The Language of Shadows, the early years of Nosferatu. It has another documentary, Nosferatu, an historic film meets digital restoration, which is basically 3 minutes. It has like a whole bunch of excerpts from Murnau's films, and it has a photo. It has all these features here, and the two versions of the film. This here, this just has the movie. No scene selection, no option for language or subtitles or anything, and no making of featurette. Just the movie. Well, what a bare bones release this is. But the film is what counts. And I saw this film, and I actually enjoyed it, dare I say, more than this. Mainly because it seemed to be more accurate to the book. But I must say one thing. I love both of these films. I love this film, but I hate the ending. I absolutely hate the ending. It's ridiculous. Jonathan Harker turns into a vampire, and really he should have been impaled through the chest by Van Helsing. It's awful. It's horrible. This ending. Yes, they obviously Nosferatu is vaporized by the sun and such, and basically the whole plague that infests the town sort of is neutralized once this vampire dies. Here he spreads the plague and such and all that. Yes, is vaporized by not vaporized, but he just dies from sun exposure. And obviously Van Helsing impales him. But for some reason, and it was not at all like this in the novel. They actually killed Dracula in the novel, from what I remember. And they basically get away unharmed and such. But no, in this film, obviously earlier on, Dracula bites and turns Jonathan Harker, and at the end of the film, once Dracula is killed, Harker turns into a bloody vampire, and then basically takes on his role and such as the main and continues to spread the plague. It's horrible. If this film here were to have the ending of this film, this would be perfect. This right here, I want to say is better, obviously, because it's the original. But this could have been this could have beat this had it not been for that ridiculous ending. I'm sorry. That ending. I'm sorry. This is basically just a rant on the ending now, because, like I said, you had some hope with this ending. The plague was ended, and the vampire was dead. There was no chance of any of this happening and such, and it was I'd hate to say it, but it was a happy ending, and and it left you with just all these good feelings inside after you've seen this, horrific film. This left you with no good feelings whatsoever. This just made you want to hate everything and such. It was just awful. It made you want to break this disc, because the ending was just so infuriating. Werner Herzog, I have no idea why you decided to end the film in that way. It just made you feel awful by the end of it. But then again, perhaps that was the intent. I don't know. But anyway, yes, I know this review is rushed. It's just that I have very little time to do these things, and I just watched these two films the other day, and I just felt that since it was 100 years old, the original, I may as well talk about it on this channel. But anyhow, that was it. That was basically 100 years of horror. That was my review of the 1922 silent film Nosferatu and the 1979 remake Nosferatu the Vampire. This is a great film. This is a near great film, except for that bloody ending. But anyhow, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm probably going to have a bit of a break from this whole YouTube thing because, well, I can focus on my work now. All of the things that used to basically drive me insane are now subdued. They're still in my mind because obviously there is still some hope in that matter, but they're back here, not up here, and I can continue on my writing and such, and I'll be doing much of that throughout this month and next month. I probably won't return until around April or May the 22nd, when I review my favorite record of all time, America Eats Its Young by Funkadelic, and which turns 50 this year. But anyhow, I hope you enjoyed. I'm feeling very tired. I'm going to basically compile all this together, upload it tomorrow, which is Friday, and then basically I'm just gonna go to bed. I'm just exhausted. I'm sorry, but I hope you enjoyed this review, despite how hastily put together it was. And been meaning to see this film when I was 12. I finally saw it. It was a great film, and I loved it. I would have loved this had it not been for the ending, and that's about it. Thank you very much, and we'll see you here in the next video. And cheers. Yes, all my mental faculties are in order, and I can continue on with my work and such, and maybe I won't have a break from YouTube. Maybe I'll just post it, everything, some things every once in a while, maybe once a week, I don't know, we'll see. But nevertheless, I am perfectly well, and all of these unnatural thoughts that have basically, these unnatural wicked thoughts that have plagued me through all these days, will not resurface again. So, thank you, and good night.
Good night.
Ah! Jesus! Mom!
What are they? Hello. This is... well, I haven't a name yet. Nor do I really have a proper voice. Really, I should have a woman's voice. But perhaps you'll be seeing more of me here soon on Miles's channel. And, maybe, perhaps, the one who's supposed to be voicing me. I hope you enjoy this review from him. He is indeed at ease, but then again, maybe not. Who's to say?